All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for coming on and listening to us today. We're going to talk about our new Intermedia Unite Envision Call Analytics module that we just launched in this past week. My name is Jason Shepard. I'm a product marketing manager for UCAS here with Intermedia, and I sit in our Bellevue, Washington office, but of course working from home like many of you. On the phone with me also is Alex Smith, our Senior Director of Product Management, who has kind of been the visionary and the lead behind this entire product launch. Alex, you there?
I'm here. Good morning,
All
Jason.
right. Hey, good morning. So thanks for coming on as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. Everybody, if you look at the top of your screen there, you'll see a couple of icons. On the left-hand side, you'll see a little emoji. That kind of lets us know that you're listening and how you're feeling during the webinar. If you can test it out, that would be great. It lets me know that you can hear what I'm having to say. All right, great. So if you hear something that you like, please interact with us. We really appreciate it. Secondly, if you have any questions at the end of this webinar, we're going to be taking questions from you. So any questions that you happen to have, please put it into that box. So not the chat area over on the left-hand side, but in that question and answer box that's at the top. That way that Alex and I are assured of getting your question and that we can answer it while we're here on air for you. Lastly, if you're having any audio issues, on the right-hand side, you'll see a icon of a phone or a microphone. You can switch in between phone and microphone if one works better for you than the other. Lastly, we just want to make sure that we have to add this little bit of reading for all of you. I hope you enjoy it. Please take some time to read about the fact that we just ask you to please keep this confidential. Yeah, believe me, I know. All right, so we're going to be talking about first a quick review of Envision Analytics. We're going to demonstrate our new call analytics platform. Alex will be taking care of that. He'll also be giving us a little preview of some of the future enhancements that are coming along with it. And of course, we'll be taking questions and answers at the end. So first, I'm going to talk about just quickly over the background of the Envision platform. The Envision platform, when people ask me, what is the Envision platform? I basically tell them it's just this really cool set of analytics tools that Intermedia has put together for our partners and our customers. And this set of tools takes all of this data that we have for your accounts, and it's every call that goes through, dozens of data points for every single one of these calls, and packages it up in a really cool way into a visual that's easy for you to understand. It's easier for you then to take that knowledge and apply it in some sort of action afterwards. Makes it really simple to understand that data. And again, this just kind of reinforced with this graphic that I put together here. It just takes data, all of the data that we collect, turns it into a nice picture, a pretty visualization, which then you can turn around and respond with a specific action. But of course, we have to choose what type of data that we want to put together, and it needs to meet these 4 criteria. And in fact, everything we do in the Envision platform really meets these 4 criteria. We strive for these. 1, it needs to be relevant. The data needs to be relevant. So any type of project or problem that you're working on, these visualizations that we present to you need to address those particular things. Second, it needs to be timely. So the information that we get to you needs to be real time and accurate. So you're getting the very latest information so you can make the best decisions based on that latest information. Third, it needs to be easily visualized. So you should be able to look at this picture and be able to glean information from it easily, whereas you could present it to a manager or to an owner of a business, and they could take one look at that picture or that visualization and be able to gain some sort of knowledge from it that they can turn around and perform some specific action. And lastly, we feel that the data needs to be accessible. It needs to be accessible in a way that you or your customers can easily get to that information and then easily be able to disseminate that information to the right people at the right place at the right time. So the first module that went into the Envision platform is our QoS Dashboard. Of course, QoS has to do with the quality analytics for any one of your specific customers. So you could go all the way from a top level, seeing from a very top level, how is QoS performing in that individual account? And then you could drill down further and further, all the way down to an individual call to be able to see where along an individual call there might be some sort of issue. So, and we give you all of the filtering tools to be able to move all the way from that top level view all the way down to that individual call view through a lot of sorting and filtering tools that we provide to you. The next thing that we introduced is specifically for partners relating to the QoS dashboard. With the partner level, you can actually view all of your accounts on a geographical map. And if there's some sort of issue with any one of your accounts, it will actually show in a red or an orange pin, depending on whether there's some sort of downtime event or a quality event that's happening with your customer or around your customer. So that includes service provider outages that might affect your customers. You'll be able to see that on this map. And if you can hover over those pins, see what the issue is, and then straight from the same screen, be able to log into your individual account, your Intermedia Unite account, and start troubleshooting the problem. And from there, you can also, that same screen, the same module, you can also set up notifications. So whenever there is some sort of problem, depending on the thresholds that you've set up, you can actually receive notifications to your cell phone and or to your email that lets you know exactly what has happened, what's going on, and you can take a proactive approach to any of the problems that some of your customers are facing. So why are these things important? Well, one, you're going to spend less time on the phone with both customers or vendors. You've given your customers self-service. They can go in through the host pilot tool, be able to go in and see analytics for themselves. And if you also have that same ability as a partner to go in and see those tools. Also, if there's any kind of issue or problem, either you or your customer can solve it on your own without having to call Intermedia. So that saves you a ton of time. Of course, there's going to be fewer help desk tickets because you're going to be getting notifications that's going to allow you to be able to stop or address problems sometimes before your customer even realizes that there's an issue. So in the case of the QoS tool, when service might be just starting to degrade, even imperceptibly to the customer, you'll get a notification and it gives you time to be able to go in, make some adjustments, make some recommendations to the customer to get that resolved before they even start having an issue. So obviously that gives you faster response times because those notifications are coming in and you can respond before the customer even notifies you themselves that there's a problem. Then over time, you're going to start realizing patterns and getting this real-time data about each one of your customers, and it gives you a better grasp of what's going on with each one of those customers to help you with better diagnosis. And of course, since they're enjoying such great service from you and such proactive service, it gets you more entrenched with each one of those customers. You become more trusted and you have the ability to sell other products and services, hopefully other intermediate products and services to those same customers. So let's get into the meat of this and why you're all here. It's for our brand new call analytics module, our third module that we are presenting as part of the Envision platform. These call analytics actually get into activity and get into trends, calling trends for individual users inside the organization. So you'll see on the top here in this example, you'll see some numbers that have to do with their overall calling, the numbers of calls that they've done, inbound, outbound, internal, also gives you call durations for each of those. And lastly, it also gives you data over time, how they've performed over the last day, several days, hours, etc. Now, how you can position this to your customer in order for you to sell this is it provides actionable insights to help the right people make the right decisions at the right time. I think I've said several of these things already on the call, and this is what you'll see on our marketing materials and how you can also turn around and sell it to your own customers. It's really using the same ideas that we've had that I presented to you before about relevance, being timely and easily visualized. All of these concepts that we're showing here that we adhere to when we're building out these tools are made into this positioning right here. So that way it's the, going back to this, we'd really like you to be able to take a positioning statement like this and be able to turn it around and send it out to your customers. You will receive an email following this presentation. You probably get it in the next day or two that gives you some of this positioning. It will include a copy of this slide deck, and will even give you an email tool to be able to, you can change it however you want and be able to message out to your customers about this brand new module that we're presenting to them. So what is Envision Call Analytics? There's two types that are available depending on the subscription package that you've purchased. One is user reports. The user reports that I just showed you a minute ago are available to all Intermedia Unite and Elevate accounts. Every single one of those can go in there right now and see these reports today. We've also added into that same report module, if you've upgraded to Contact Center Express, you'll be able to see some additional reports around some of these tools, such as hold times and queuing statistics and things like that, will also be added into the Contact Center reports. And Alex is going to go over all of that in just a sec. In fact, he'll be doing that right now. So take it away, Alex.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, so I'm going to share a screen and we're going to take you through a number of these items. So Jason, if you wouldn't mind just letting me know that you can see my screen share.
I can see it. Everybody else, okay? Give us a thumbs up. You can see everything. All right.
Sweet. Thank you, guys. Okay, so the first kind of point of note is that the Reports and Analytics tab is a new tab that you'll find within the control panel, within the voice control panel, within Host Pilot. It is currently a new tab that we've added, and the goal of this is to bring all of our analytics and reporting for the Unite products and services into one place. There is a bit of a roadmap, a journey involved in doing that. So right now, for example, the Reports and Analytics tab has these historical reports. But what we will eventually be doing coming weeks and months is we'll be moving other reports and analytics in here as well. So for example, there are, if you are a Contact Center subscriber, existing reports available in the Contact Center tab. They're obviously being moved into here, as Jason's just described, under Contact Center reports. But also the QoS tool will make its way into this section as well as some other things that I'll mention shortly, some more capabilities that are coming down the pipe. But let me just show you kind of what we're hitting up, what we're providing at launch. Fundamentally, we are giving you historical reports and the ability to deliver them according to a schedule. So the key reports that we really wanted to get covered off at launch is the user report. And I'm going to start by talking a little bit about that now. So I'm going to run a user report. As you can see, choose the report type and then choose the date range. You have some customizations over here as well and some configuration in this pull down. Those of you that have seen Contact Center reports will see some kind of familiarity here. The goal of all of these this development journey we're on is to obviously bring a consistent approach to how we deliver reports and analytics. So this date picker, for example, is one of those. So inside this user report, though, we will deliver a report with some high-level metrics based on call patterns, as Jason said, the directionality of the calls, and also some calculated averages and metrics that are relevant, in our experience. We will also deliver those metrics over time according to the time schedule that you like. So that can be hourly, daily, or monthly. And obviously it depends on the report range that you select. There's some interactivity on here, so you can drill into this data. And then, there's some filtering. You can remove the total column here as well. So the first thing to mention is that this report, when you first run it, will basically give you information for the entire organization. So in order to actually narrow that down somewhat, we have the filtering capability. So right now, the most important filter that we had to get out at launch is the user filter. So this is the ability now to drill into specific users. So if I, for example, deselect everybody and then search for myself, I'll see here that I can filter this data for myself. It's pretty empty because, didn't make many calls yesterday. So perhaps let's expand the time range somewhat. Let's say last week, something like that. So this will now rerun that report again for everybody. And I'll then go in and apply some filtering to it after it's completed. So here you go. So we've now selected a weekly report. So you'll see it's automatically adjusted the divisions to daily rather than hourly in this case. So there's some automatic adjustment that's done there. If you want to change that though, inside custom, you can choose whether you display your data by day, hour, or month in here, just so that you're aware. So let's apply some of these filters again. So I'll deselect everybody. I don't know. Let's see if Jason has actually been any more productive than I have. So here we go. We've got a call report here for Jason and the activity, calling activity that he's performed over the last week. So that's all well and good, but I'll talk a bit more, incidentally, about the filters that are coming down the line, because we absolutely are filling out a richer set of filters. We needed to basically, though, get this out there for a number of reasons. So we focused on those that are most impactful. So here we have a report that is all about Jason and his calling activity for a week. I obviously needed to go and make some kind of interactive configuration with these filters and selectors. But if I ever wanted to revisit this report, I can save it. So let's call this the Jason weekly report. Okay. So what that has done now is automatically moved over to the other tab that you'll see in the system here, the saved and scheduled reports. And what this does is provides me easy access to any reports that I've already got configured in the system. So here I can just click on the Jason weekly report, and this will rerun that report, and what you'll see is exactly the same as what you saw before. However, because this is a relative time range that I've selected the past week, every time I run this report, it will rerun and refetch the data each time. So I can come in here next week and I'll see the report data for the previous week, depending on these relative time ranges that we have here. So that's useful for a number of reasons. Obviously, being able to come in and rerun a report with one click and not having to reconfigure it every time is great. However, when we talk about one of those kind of tenets, if you will, of the actionable insight, timeliness is important, but also accessibility, making this available to the people who can take or make actions on that data. And one such person might be Jason himself. So for this report, it's great that an administrator can come in and view it, but it would be much, much better if Jason could view this report himself. So here is where we come into the scheduling of the reporting. So I can come in here and I can configure how, so it's a weekly report. Let's deliver that to Jason. Let's make sure that it's in his inbox at 9 a.m. On Monday morning. And then we will deliver this to Jason. Okay, and save that. Okay, so one thing, a slight change here, there's this schedule frequency column. You'll now see that the Jason weekly report is being delivered on a weekly frequency. And you can, of course, come in here and you can modify that report name, incidentally, and edit this schedule should we ever need to modify that. So now Jason on Monday at 9 a.m. will receive a report. It will be an email in his inbox. The body of the email will contain the metadata of the report, but then attached to that report will be, attached to that email will be the report that you just saw. Incidentally, we have also added the call data that was used to create that report. So, for example, not only will we deliver the report content, so those metrics that you see at the top and the information that builds this chart, that's all available. We will also have a second attachment that basically gives you the CDR, the call detail records for that person. Now, there's a reason for that, and it's fundamentally that we know that our customers and partners need to receive that kind of raw data, and they need it scheduled. We are planning on doing that in a kind of a more consistent way with a call when we upgrade our call report tool in the coming months, maybe 1 or 2 months from now. But we wanted to make sure that we can get that call data to the people, the raw call data, as well as the report data. So this is a kind of workaround, if you will, temporary workaround that gets that call data to the people that need it right now. So that's available in the control panels as we speak. So that's the user report kind of covered off. But for those of you that are aware, the contact center reports are also something that we have had for a number of months now. But they were previously only available either to administrators via the control panel or to supervisors via the Unite desktop client. Now, again, we have all of the same reports that we had. We have a group overview report and we have an agent performance report. These follow the same content as before, but there are some subtle differences that have been asked for. First of all, previously, the reports could only be delivered for each contact center group. So you delivered a report for the direct sales team, you would then deliver a separate report for each and every group. You were not able to deliver an aggregated report. So what I can do with our group filter here is I can pick a few groups and click apply, and that will now, incidentally, I'm editing the JSON weekly report. That's probably not the right thing to do, but it doesn't matter. The point's the same. What we've now able to deliver and provide is an aggregate report based on multiple groups. So that can be very useful when you have multiple hunt groups or contact center groups that you actually need to deliver kind of aggregated information. All of these reports can be printed or they can be exported to CSV as well, right from in here. So I'll just skip back to the correct place, go to contact center reports. That was the group overview report. I'll do the same. Let's select a wider time range for the agent performance report. So again, if you're familiar with the agent performance report, this is all about the agents, roll calls, how long they've been logged in, talk times, kind of agent specific information. But we can filter this 2 ways. We can either include or exclude specific contact center groups, or we can actually narrow it down to specific agents and create reports specifically for one or more agents. Now, the accessibility of this information now means that you can create schedules to send this data directly to the agents. So whereas before it was only available to administrators or it was only available to supervisors, now you can provide these same stats directly to the users. You could give each contact center agent a daily report telling them how they performed on the prior day, or perhaps how they're trending over time, so that they can have some idea of their performance. They don't have to go to the administrator or the supervisor for that information anymore. So, very, very accessible across anywhere in the business. And the same can be said for these user reports. So, delivering insights to line managers about how perhaps an outbound sales team might be performing based on number of outbound calls, for example. All of these are insights that can be provided to, where they're most actionable. So to the places in the business. So that's the real value we're delivering with saved and scheduled reports. So they are the key capabilities that we have at launch right now. So the user reports, the contact center reports, and the ability to schedule and deliver all of these reports. I just want to touch on a few things that are coming, because this release that we made roughly 2 weeks ago is what you're seeing here, but we have a very aggressive roadmap in the coming 1, 2, 3, 4 months to actually build this out and fill it out in a stronger way. And one of those such ways is to provide more filters. So as it relates to the user report right now, as you saw, there is only really one filter available, and that's the user filter itself. You will be able to report on things like call attributes. You will be able to report on things like the location of the user, so the branch office, for example. So you'll be able to create much more targeted reports based on those business kind of elements or those business structures that you can add into the Elevate tool. As well as that, we are going to be adding improved time zone support. So right now, all of the time zones are in a fixed time zone. They're in Pacific time, and that's clearly not ideal for everybody. So we will be adding a time zone selector, so you can come in here, change your time zone. You can also be able to change the time zone for the recipient of the report. So they might well be in different time zones to the administrators. So there'll be selectors and configurations for all of that. Incidentally, we will be localizing a lot of these. So for those of you that have customers, in French, German language, etc., there'll be a number of different options to localize those reports as well. And we'll be building out our language set over the coming months as well. So one other item I mentioned, we currently have this call report tab over on the left-hand side. We've had this for a number of years. Many of you will be familiar with it and how it functions. We will be revising this entire tool, the whole call report, and bringing it into the Envision style and the Envision ecosystem. So here you get one line record per call, etc., and you have some limited filtering and some ability to export. Well, all of that is going to make its way into a usage history tab. Probably in about 6 weeks from now, you will be able to run those reports. You will have advanced filters, and you will also be able to deliver those according to a schedule. And I've mentioned it as well already with the QoS tool. So the QoS tool here, or the quality of service tool, will also be making its way into the analytics and reports tab. So a number of this will be your one-stop shop ultimately for all analytics and reporting. Further out, one kind of thing I'm going to mention is, as well as historical reports and performance reporting, we're going to be adding more dashboards and live analytics around adoption and engagement metrics. So this will give you a very good idea about the adoption of features, the various Elevate features. So you'll be able to see like how many users are using chat, what level of engagement, are they using the group chat features? How are they using meetings? Are they using webinars? What's their average meeting length? Things like that. Really what kind of engagement or adoption statistics, so you can go in and ultimately drive adoption, increase stickiness with your customers, which is really what it's about here. So that's a bit later on. Don't really want to touch on it too much more than that, but that's going to be happening Q3, Q4, I would say, likely this year. But much nearer term, those items around usage history and things like that. So that's it for the demo. Everybody has this available in their control panel now. You can go in there, you can access, you can do everything that I've just done. So coming back to our slide deck. All right, so here's just a kind of overview here. So these are some use cases. I've already mentioned a number of these as a part of our demo. Really here with these call analytics, this is not exhaustive. Doing things like increasing the quality of the customer engagements that the users have. Being able to measure that and actually apply some qualitative or quantitative metrics to those. Understanding call patterns, who's making the calls and when. Tracking the performance and providing reports to managers whereby they can, set expectations and provide training if required to, adjust behavior, and ultimately, delivering businesses, allowing businesses to make better decisions around, whatever the metric is that's relevant to that business. It's really about, as we've said before, delivering those actionable insights that provide value, real business value. Now, of course, you as partners as well don't have to necessarily provide these to the business. You can run these yourself and provide them, schedule them, deliver them however you choose. So those three primary takeaways, we are delivering those actionable insights. The charts and the reports as we build them out are all, using modern charting technologies and graphing technologies. So there's a lot more to come there. But it's based on that fundamental underlying call data that we have within the Envision platform, delivering it to the right people, whether that's agents, whether that's end users, their line managers, CEOs, administrators, but delivering it in a timely manner with the scheduled reporting capability. So if nothing else, remember these three primary takeaways. So, Jason, any
Great.
questions?
There are some questions. Firstly, are we going to be able to get a copy of the slides or webinar? Yes, the slides are going to be you're going to receive an email that is going to take you to a link where you can go to the sales partner portal and be able to download the slides or just view the slides and view the webinar. Next, Alex, when will legacy telex accounts be added to the portal?
Excellent. So we have a roadmap that starts around the end of Q3 for bringing all of the reporting capabilities from the Telex platform, contact center platform, into the Envision world. So I'm going to answer this question as it specifically relates to analytics and reports. If you mean more broadly, when that comes in, unfortunately, I can't answer that question. But one thing that is very tricky to do right now in the Telex platform is to self-serve customized reporting. So currently, the Telex team or the call center, contact center team, as we know them, perform a lot of these customized reports manually. So, they'll engage with you and your customers and create the reports that you need, but there's a turnaround time involved in that. What we'll be doing with the Envision platform is allowing you or indeed your customers to self-serve. So those same reports that we've shown you there, but they'll have more advanced capabilities with more filters. And also you'll be able to select custom KPIs, performance indicators for each report. And really, it becomes more of a report builder or a report wizard. So you can customize the reports without having to engage with the Intermedia contact center team directly. Timeline-wise, that's going to begin around the end of Q3, and then Q4, you'll see a big push into that area specifically.
Great. Antonio also asks, where is the downtime detection located at? And maybe, Alex, if you don't mind, just kind of mentioning on each one of the three modules where our partners can find those.
Yeah, that's fair. So the downtime detection module is a part of the partner dashboard or the partner QoS tool. I will be the first to admit that it is a little bit buried in amongst the menus. So the partner dashboard is in the voice services tab of the partner control panel. So your partner portal, if you enter the partner portal and go to the voice services tab, you'll see a menu that's like step 1, do this, step 2, do that. Step 4 is monitor your accounts. And that in the monitor section is where you're able to basically monitor the service status of your quality status of your accounts. There's just a link there and it will open that partner dashboard. That partner dashboard is what contains, it enables you to compare perhaps the quality or the voice service that each of your separate sub-accounts are receiving. You can very easily spot outliers. So perhaps if one of your customers is having a poorer service or a poorer experience, spot that in that and maybe take some proactive action, churn, make your customer happy. Downtime is something we around 2 or 3 it's function. You can configure just your items. The that's a part of the control itself of the host pilot control panel. It's in the quality tab of the Elevate module, the Elevate control panel. And then, of course, you've seen how to access the call analytics from within the reports and analytics tab.
Awesome. Thanks. On the poor calls tab, at what percentage should a partner be concerned?
Okay, great. So there's a very specific reason why we delivered these both numerically as counts and percentages. So obviously, an account that's making 10,000 calls and only has 3 or 4 bad calls is going to be very different to an account that's only making 10 calls, for example, with that same. So that's why we provided specifically this percentage so that you can make an assessment and compare across all of your accounts. The threshold at which a customer might start, having or feeling some kind of, very, very discernible kind of problem It's somewhere between 1 and 3, usually 1 and 3%, something like that. If it starts heading up towards 5 and more, then you'll tend to find that that customer is probably hearing from their users that call quality is suffering. Now, of course, call quality is a very subjective topic. So, one person's poor call is another person's perfectly acceptable call. So there is a measure of, you have to take a rather pragmatic approach. But I think setting a threshold at kind of 3 or 5% of poor calls is something where you as a partner probably want to start taking notice and start drilling into that customer's QoS tool. See if you can identify some trends. Perhaps, at certain times of the day, for example, you're seeing a higher percentage of poor calls. That's something the QoS tool is very good at visualizing. And obviously, bandwidth contention and things like that are a very real problem, and are very, very easily exposed in that tool.
Yeah, I did want to mention to everybody too that's on the call, we actually did a webinar specific to the QoS tool a few months back. So you're welcome to look onto the partner portal, the sales partner portal, and you can find that specific webinar, pull down all of the slides and everything related to the QoS dashboard itself. The next question, Alex, do the analytics show the percentages for the partners and customers that are most inclined to answer calls?
So not right now. Right now, the metrics that we're delivering, they're not really kind of predictive metrics in any shape or form. These are kind of just rather static metrics based on the call data. How those are specifically interpreted is kind of down to the individual customer. I'm very wary about kind of making promises for the future, but we are investigating how we can provide much more targeted and beneficial actionable insights. So not just the data, but meaningful actions to take on that data. And this would be an example of that. So, particularly, perhaps spotting users or contact center groups that are under or overperforming and having metrics to define what does constitute performance. So don't want to take it particularly further than that, but it is definitely something that we're looking into, providing richer insights.
Great. Last question I'm going to be able to get to today, is this live on the reseller platform? Yes, live on the reseller platform, not on the reseller platform, but you can actually go into, for call analytics, you would go into the host pilot, the individual accounts host pilot portal to be able to see all of this. Am I right, Alex?
That's absolutely correct, yes.
Okay. So with that, I think that we're going to go ahead and give you the rest of the hour back. We really appreciate all of you showing up today, and I hope that you're able to take a few minutes, go in there, play around with the tool, and if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm Jason Shepard in Product Marketing. I'm happy to answer any of your questions for you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and week. And we'll see you at the next webinar. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.